Hello everyone, back at it again with the videos. Yeah. Uh so I've been getting back into fairy tale. The finale was released in manga form not too long ago, at least I don't think not too long ago. Um and I finally decided to get back into reading the manga to catch up. And I started thinking about Edolas, which is actually one of my favorite arcs just because of how freaking weird it was. And I watched a video a while ago talking about what Zeref would actually be like in Edolas, which I had actually never thought about. Natsu is in Edolas, but we never see Zeref. We never see Zeref Dragion. And I started thinking about just exactly how the Edolas characters are set up, in that some of them are just like an inverse, so to speak, of themselves, like how, say, Wakaba in the Earthland universe. By the way, this is going to be spoiler heavy for anyone who hasn't caught up with the manga, so yeah, that's a thing. And anyway, like for example, how Wakaba is a smoker in the Earthland universe, and his magic revolves around smoke, whereas in Edolas, he is against smoking and is trying to quit one or the other or both. Um, because like you see a patch on his shirt or whatever that has like uh cigarette with the whole no line circle symbol. I swear I'm channeling Davinator. And Kana is probably the best example. Like on the outside, she's not exactly an alcoholic because she actually seems to have quite the alcohol tolerance. Um, but she drinks a lot, and she just is very what's the right word? Revealing, I guess. Then again, I mean, it's kind of fairy tale, but whatever. Whereas but in internally, she's a very nice, kind, caring young woman, and so is Edolas Kana. But you see more of that on the kind of portrayed on the outside in her like very kind of maidenly sort of, not Victorian style, but like she's in like that sort of very European, old-fashioned European outfits. Um, and yeah, so but certain characters, there's a little bit of an extra twist to them. Not only are they in some way outwardly the visually or personality wise the opposite, or not really the opposite, more kind of the inverse of themselves, where how they are on the inside is more broadcast on the outside and vice versa. If a character is in a certain kind of ship, they will also be kind of more like the other person in that ship, like Gray, Surge, and Juvia, whatever her Edolas equivalent's last name is. In Earthland, Juvia is considered a stalker, kind of is. Either way, favorite character. Um, and she's very open with how she feels about the people she loves, very open. And she's very lovey-dovey. She's somewhere between, like, if you want to talk anime character tropes, she's like halfway between a Dere and a Yandere. She's not quite Yandere because she wouldn't actually like kill even her friends just to get to Gray, even though there was one point where she considered sabotaging someone during the Grand Magic Games, but she immediately snapped out of it. Good for her. And but she can have somewhat obsessive and psychotic tendency. Well, debatably psychotic tendencies when it comes to her a love for Gray Fullbuster. Whereas Gray Fullbuster is very much not open with his well, he kind of is. He's basically, best way I can describe him is that he's a tsundere. He either doesn't initially have an interest in Juvia, or he does, he just doesn't realize it or doesn't really know how to deal with his newfound emotions or whatever when it comes to his interest in Juvia. Basically, it's tsundere in a way. And in Edolas, they're essentially reversed. Gray is very open about his love for Juvia, just like how Juvia in Earthland is, Juvia Loxer is very open about her love for Gray, whereas Juvia in Edolas is very much a tsundere. She is like, she acts like a total ass to him. And then, although Bisca and Alzak, they're kind of the same. Now that I think about it, because they're both extremely. Then again, they're both they hide their feelings in Earthland, so it would only make sense that they both are very open in Edolas. So that got me thinking, what kind of character would Zeref Dragion have? Because Zeref is inherently a very contradictory character because of his curse of contradiction. He is genuinely a great guy, and he really loved his brother Natsu, because he even went so far as to try and research magic and its relation to life and death to try and bring Natsu back, which he does, of course, obviously, but is then cursed with the curse of contradiction, the Ankh-Selim black magic curse that makes it so that the more he loves something that's living, or the more he loves life, the more he loves in general, the more the magic will kill everything around him. And if he hates everything, then the magic won't kill anything. And that kind of drives him crazy, and I believe someone described him as being schizophrenic. I'm not an expert on the topic, so I won't get into that. But so his character would have to be similar to Zeref Dragneel, but also an inverse, and also like Mavis, because they're shipped together. They're in a relationship. So what kind of weird character mishmash would that equate to? And then I thought, what about Larcade? He has an opposite color scheme to that of Zeref, which would make sense. And it's not quite like the all white or almost all white color scheme of Mavis with her white hair. Well, not white hair, but like platinum blonde hair, or I don't know. I'm not an expert on hair color. And her white, almost all white outfit with maybe a little bit of pink here and there, if I'm remembering correctly, which I'm probably not, which is probably very sad, but I digress. And he also has kind of a holy sort of design scheme with the cross on his back, the cross on his forehead, even though it's not the same kind of like Christian cross. Even his cross has crosses on them, and he's always shown with his hands in like a praying format, and he has sort of a kind of, I don't know, part of me wants to say Buddhist looking sort of outfit, which is like gold and white with a little bit of black. He also has white hair, and he hates Natsu. He's very jealous of Natsu, which that would make sense for an opposite of Zeref Dragneel, because Zeref Dragneel actually, in reality, loves his brother. It's just the curse of contradiction that kind of screwed with that. So the opposite of him would hate his brother. But he might act like a legitimately decent person on the outside, because Larcade Dragneel on the outside is depicted as very calm, and Mavis was a massive sweetheart, and that's also kind of reflected in Larcade's magic, in that it's kind of the reverse of sort of, it's like a twisted inverse reverse opposite of the Unkselem curse, where with Zeref, his magic will kill you if, because of his love or his kindness or yada yada yada, whereas Larcade's magic is almost killing you with life. He's got pleasure, which is tied to something that creates life. Hunger, which is something used to sustain life. And sleep, which is, I guess you could say, a way of rejuvenating life. He uses that to kill his opponents. So it's kind of like a weird, twisted, reverse version of the Unkselem curse, where it's not magic ridding you of life with death, it's magic killing you with life. So his design, his character, now obviously I'm not saying that Larcade Dragneel is somehow Zeref Dragion teleported to the Earthland universe, like how Lizana Strauss was teleported to the Edolas universe. But I'm also thinking that because Larcade Dragneel turned out to be a demon from the Book of Zeref, that there wouldn't actually be a Larcade Dragion, because his existence was sort of artificially manifested through Zeref's experimentation with magic, as opposed to naturally being someone who was kind of born into the world of Earthland. So I don't think he would have an Edolas counterpart, because he's not, quote unquote, natural in that world. He was artificially created through magic. So it's possible that Zeref Dragion could actually be sort of both the, of course, Edolas version of Zeref Dragneel, that's a given, but also kind of the Edolas equivalent of Larcade Dragneel as well, because of how I think he would likely appear and behave. Um, there's also the and I really should go back and check, but maybe there could be a connection between Zeref Dragion and why Edolas became the way it is. because there was once a time in Edolas where it had about as much magic as Earthland, but then some idiot decided to use the Dorma Annum, if I'm remembering correctly, and it absorbed so much magic that it made a massive dent, practically a what are those things called? A massive crater in the Edolas magic supply. So, but I can't remember if they actually explained what that was. So maybe it could have had something to do with Zeref Dragion, because the other side of that coin is that if he was if Zeref Dragion was anything like Larcade, then he would have been like, in a sense, genuinely evil, because Zeref is only evil because of his curse. So if Edolas is in any capacity supposed to have characters be the opposite of the way they are in Earthland, then Zeref Dragion would be genuinely evil and might actually use a similar kind of magic. And if Zeref is he's like the catalyst that led to 90% of what happened, like 99% of what happens in Fairy Tail. So it's possible that he may have had something to do with that. Again, maybe I'm forgetting something that they mention, and the reason for the Dorma Annum had nothing to do with Zeref Dragion. But if they don't actually explain why the Dorma Annum was made, then it really makes you think. Anyway, that's about everything that I had on my mind involving this theory. So, yeah. Peace out, Rock On, and stay awesome, y'all. Until next time.